Venezuela, a country in crisis. Millions have fled the economic collapse. The government and the opposition are at each other's throats. We wanted to get a snapshot of the country at this moment in time. We're leaving Caracas, and on this road trip, we're talking to Venezuelans to find out how they're coping with the crisis, how in some cases they're surviving, and what their hopes and fears are for the future. As we travel through towns, we notice how many stores are closed. We stop by a hairdresser's. Johan Ascanio owns this shop. He says since the escalation of the political and economic tension, business has collapsed.
Business is down by 80% because of the situation in the country. We survive with the few clients who still come. Every day prices rise and we can't keep our business on track.
He no longer has any faith in the government of Nicolás Maduro and wants a new leader to take charge. He was preparing to close for the day when a client entered. Fatima Pimentel says many of her friends can't afford the beauty salon, needing to spend the money on what food there is. Still, a trip here can be therapeutic in stressful times.
I used to come every week. Now it's gone down, only when necessary, or I have a social engagement. Today, I want to look beautiful.
Driving through the country, you get the feeling that everyone is just trying to get by. Hyperinflation is strangling the economy. This is one of 3 bags of money I'm bringing along. In this bag alone, there are 1,900 bills. You can see some of them here. This is worth around 200,000 bolivares, but that translates into just $39. Venezuelans are polarized. In the middle of the polarization, there are millions of so-called ninis, those not convinced by the government or the opposition. Janet Salazar is one of them. She and her husband have been cattle ranching for years, but with the meat market slowing down, they decided to invest in a coffee processing plant that had been shut down 5 years ago. She says that given the current challenges, Venezuelans have to constantly look for opportunities.
This situation has led us to search for new ways to survive, to keep going, to produce. Life is about working.
The business is going well, and they're processing more than a ton of coffee a week. She hopes to double that output in a year.
We're passing through a critical time, but I have faith in Venezuelans. We'll get through this.
By now, we've driven hundreds of kilometers. To fill up this van, it costs less than 10 cents, a legacy of subsidized fuel prices amid tremendous oil resources. We return to Caracas. Food shortages have people trying to grow their own supplies. Aurelini Macari started this urban farm for people in her neighborhood. Here she grows vegetables and raises animals and fish. She supported the late President Hugo Chavez and sees this urban farm as part of his legacy to feed poor Venezuelans and make the country more productive.
My objective in this revolution is to continue fighting for a better world, a humanity with more tolerance.
Venezuela is at a crossroads. The present situation is unsustainable, but what comes next is anyone's guess. Toby Muse, CGTN, Caracas, Venezuela.